to play. We've got stories for your day. From Onefinity, it's clear to see the finest CNC. It's the Cutting Edge Podcast. Let's take a flight with design.
Hey, welcome one and all to the very first episode of the Cutting Edge Podcast presented by Onefinity CNC. We're your hosts, Stone, aka Stonefinity, and I'm Morgan Hop, Morgan for short. And we are super excited to be doing this podcast together.
Yeah, so this is obviously our very first episode, but we are going to be getting on here on a regular basis and talking about what's going on in the world of CNC, a little bit of project stuff, a little bit of tool pathing strategy, a little bit of everything. So we're just really wanting to provide a space where you can come, you can ask questions. We want interaction with you guys, whether that's in a chat. We'll have people on here with us as well. And we really just want to be able to create a community where we can help each other out. We can show you guys new things, and then we can learn from you as well. So there's always something going on in the CNC world, always new products, different types of projects. So there's lots of things to keep you inspired and to keep you going on your CNC journey that we want to be a part of.
Awesome. So first off, I guess, this being the first episode, just talk a little bit about the show, just kind of what to expect, what it's going to be about, who we are, and why you should care to listen to us. So I guess before we kind of get into any of that, let's just introduce ourselves. Stone, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah.
Like how you got involved with Onefinity and what's your role? Like what floats your boat?
So I started with Onefinity about 4 years ago. I was still in college and finishing that up, and I was approached by a friend of Mark who invented the Onefinity, and he was looking for someone to make some videos for him. So I said sure. I had no clue what I was doing. I had never run a CNC before, but it was pretty straightforward kind of gig where I just kind of had to put the machine together, do a couple other little videos here and there. And it started off as kind of a part-time thing. And eventually I was offered a full-time job. And now I do all sorts of different things for Onefinity, from support to trade shows to videos still. So yeah, I've kind of grown with the company, but I was technically employee number one. So yeah.
Awesome. So I'm my name is Morgan. Like I said, most folks on the internet would know me as Morgan Hop. I've been doing this kind of video in the woodworking space for a while. I used to work for another brand in the woodworking space, but not in the CNC market. And so I had kind of I've been to trade shows and met a lot of the people that I continue to interact with daily. And I was getting a little bit burnout in my last position at my old job. And I had gotten connected with the people that work very closely with or own Onefinity. And I asked them if they would be interested in having me do some video work for them. And that's kind of how I got involved with Onefinity. And that's what I continue. I did that kind of like on a freelance basis for a while. And then just end of last year started. Shoot. I gotta silence my notifications. How do I do that? No, I'll just start over. Well, not start over completely. Anyway.
You're good. Just let it go.
Yeah. So I've been doing that for a while, and just through what I did at my old job, I met a ton of people in the community. Some of them being working very closely with Onefinity, and when I kind of started trying to make my way out the door at the last place, I talked to them. And I said, "Hey, do you think Onefinity would have room for me to do some video work there?" And so I did that on a freelance basis for a while, and then started doing that full time toward the end of last year. And so that's what I do. I do the project-based videos for Onefinity's YouTube channel, really kind of any new product announcements. and go to trade shows and just kind of generally work with content creators in the community. And yeah, just kind of just do the best I can to represent the brand.
I think you do a great job, Morgan.
Oh, shucks.
So now that we've kind of introduced ourselves and given you a little bit of our background, let's kind of get into what we're going to be doing with the show and kind of the direction we're taking it more specifically. Specifically, what we expect to get out of the show for what we want to get out of it for us, but also what we want to provide for you guys. Kind of that expectation. Morgan, you have anything to say about that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, this being the first show, we let's start at the very beginning, like just get some foundational knowledge, some foundational understanding, to be able to build on from here on as we move forward from episode to episode, because not everybody knows a whole lot about CNC, or even some people maybe what a CNC even is. So the question that we're trying to answer on this episode is, what is a CNC? And why should you care? Maybe you don't, but we're going to tell you anyway.
So let's go with like the very most basic answer of what is a CNC. CNC stands for computer numeric control. That's the boring answer. Basically, you have some code that a computer reads and it tells the machine what to do. That's the short, boring answer of what a CNC is. But CNCs are all over the world, and a lot of times we don't even realize them. We see them in our everyday lives. You've probably got them in your house, or in your office, things like that. So kind of a couple examples, like printers, laser jet, inkjet printers. They use a CNC system to make their correct moves and things like that for their printing. Crickets. A lot of people use crickets, vinyl cutters. Those have become really big, and that's a type of CNC. The Onefinity is a CNC router specifically. So it is the CNC control, but it has a router on it. Whereas you have lasers, you have 3D printers, like we said, crickets. There's probably thousands of different types of CNCs out there that we pass every day and we don't even realize.
Yeah, that's right. So it's, I guess I don't know, put it in boil it down to its lowest common denominator. It's a machine that will either add or remove material, that a computer tells it how to move in a given area. So like a 3D printer adds plastic filament to make a thing. The Onefinity, the CNC routers that we make, they use a cutting tool to remove material. And that's really about the most simple way I can put it. So it frees up a lot of, not frees up, but I mean, it presents a lot of new opportunity. At least what we do with Onefinity, it presents a lot of new opportunities for people who make things to do things that would either be very difficult to, or nearly impossible, or even impossible to do by hand. You can use a computer to make the tools that you have do things that are not possible to do by hand.
Or maybe not even that it's not possible to do by hand, but it's not possible to repeat exactly a certain number of times.
True. Yes. Because you got a computer telling it what to do, and it tells it to do the exact same thing over and over and over again. So yes. So that's what a CNC really is. And we're going to get into more of that, as we go on from episode to episode. We're going to be talking about different things that you can do with the CNC. Some of it, there's 3D capabilities where you can get your machine to cut really cool, intricate 3D objects. Or, you can use them to batch out a whole hundreds, thousands of the same part over and over and over again, if that's what your business is. There's just so many different things that you can do. We've hooked up pens and markers and had them just draw on paper. I've used one to etch glass that's got a little spring-loaded diamond cutting tip, and I was able to etch glass with my CNC. So tons of different uh, tons of different applications, same basic principle. Got a thing that moves front and back, left and right, and up and down, and that's that. I mean, that's basically it.
I think the coolest part about all of that is the fact that even though it's one tool, you can put different bits or tools, I guess, in there. Um, and there's so many different things you can do. And sometimes um, I get to see really cool stuff doing support just because, I mean, obviously people are emailing in. But I think it's really cool because it's not so much a limitation of the machine but it's more of a limitation of how can I figure out how to toolpath this or how to achieve some certain effect. Because most of the time, like 95% of the time, maybe more, if if you can figure out a way to toolpath something differently, you can usually figure out a new way to come up with something or a new way to make a join or something like that that saves you time, or maybe it's just something that hasn't been done before. And I think that's what's really cool about CNC because there is so much of it that is unexplored, even though it's been around for a while. There's so many innovations being made that it's becoming more and more accessible and more easily learned, I guess. And I think that's what's so cool about the hobby space that we're in. Um, it's giving people the ability to make something that they couldn't make otherwise, like you said.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I mean, like CNCs are they're not new by any stretch of the imagination, but the availability, the accessibility, and just the low barrier of entry to CNCs is fairly new. CNC has been around for decades, and in terms of in the woodworking space, like CNC routers. Or I used to work at a cabinet shop, and we had a cabinet shop. We had this 5-axis CNC machine that was the size of a double wide, and that's those are common in big millwork shops, but a machine that somebody can just put in their garage or put in the spare room of their house or the craft room or whatever,
Yeah,
that's fairly new. And so it's exciting that capability, that functionality of being able to have computerized automated cutting is part of your woodworking tool set is huge.
absolutely.
And
All
there's
right.
people that are Stone and I are just two people, and Stone knows everything there is to possibly know about the machine. He knows way more about the machine than I do. But when I came into this, I wasn't a CNC expert by any stretch of the imagination. I honestly hardly only use the machine just a little bit, enough to really kind of understand the basics. So doing these project videos with for the Onefinity YouTube channel, I'm really kind of learning as I go, which I think is valuable to anybody else who's just starting out. It's like I'm not talking at such a high level that people can't follow along and learn with me. So I think it's valuable in that sense, but um, I think it also affords me the kind of the ability to approach a project without having a whole skill set and a whole bunch of knowledge prior, to be able to come out with a way to do something on the machine that maybe isn't technically the right way to do it, but it's just the way that I came up with because I didn't care to look it up or find out how anybody else did it. I just came up with my own process.
Well, I think that's kind of the whole point, though. Is I mean, a lot of the people that are learning from your videos are learning with you. I mean, it's not just you. I mean, you're teaching people how to use the machine, but at the same time, like you're teaching yourself new things. And sometimes, sure, there may be a quote unquote correct way to do things, but that doesn't mean that another way of doing it is incorrect necessarily. It may not be the norm, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. That's the best way.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I think that people enjoy those videos because they know um, you're learning with them and you're talking in a way that they can understand. Because people don't want to learn from something that they can't understand the words they're using. Um, I know some of my videos I use the technical term, and people will ask, "Well, what is that?" Well, it's the same thing as someone else is calling, but it's just a different name.
Yeah.
I didn't put that into words very well. Sorry.
That's all right. Hey, welcome to my life. Everything that comes out of my mouth was not put into words all that great.
But I think the ability to see that, hey, if this guy is just learning and he can come up with a project that comes out like that, it encourages people because they realize that it's not as difficult as it may seem sometimes. Sometimes it may be difficult. There's some projects where I sit and scratch my head for hours trying to figure out one little thing. But then at the same time, like when you took your most recent video, you did the tiling operation with the cornhole board. I've never actually tiled anything, but having watched your video now, I've looked at that and I said, wow, I could have done that in 5 minutes. Like it's not hard, but having someone to watch and to learn from, it gives people, I think, one, the courage to do it, but it also gives them like just a little bit of support behind them, but it's kind of saying, hey, you can do this. But it's also like, if this guy can do it and he's never done this before, then so can I. So it kind of gives you that sense of confidence.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I can just say here, if you've watched any of any of my videos on the Onefinity YouTube channel, the project based videos, everything that I do, I am doing for the first time. So like, and if it comes out looking decent, then it's not like I have a ton of background doing these things that I'm doing. So, and I'm kind of dumb. So, if I can figure out how to do it and make it out there, put it out there, make it understandable for you guys, then you should have no trouble at all. Smooth sailing.
He's not dumb. Don't let him trick you. But no, I mean, yeah, that's just it's just saying, hey, yeah, I can do it, so can you. And I think there's a lot of that in this community, and that's what makes this community so great, because people encourage each other, they help each other out, and that's what this podcast is going to be about. So,
yeah, yes. So, we got a little bit off in the weeds there, but it was all relevant to an extent. But just a little bit more about the podcast. Like I said, we got to establish some kind of foundational knowledge. First couple episodes talk about what's a CNC, who's Onefinity CNC. What do we do? What makes us different? But then after that, we're going to be able to kind of broaden our horizons and loosen up a little bit and be a little bit more interactive with the show. So, eventually we're going to start bringing guests and probably going to start, doing some portion of this at least, maybe even like a pre-show thing we would be doing live, and we want it to be really interactive. Whether we're doing it live and you guys are in the chat asking us questions, making comments, or we solicit questions prior to the show. We want you guys to see this as a resource, not just Stone and me sitting here talking at you, because that's we want you guys to get some benefit out of this by being able to, if you have burning questions that just you haven't been able to get a good answer, we're here. This is to help you guys. We're here to support you guys. So, yeah, interaction. We want lots of community engagement.
yes. I mean, I think if you're familiar with Onefinity already, which we're assuming you are, if you're probably watching or listening to this podcast, then you probably have a pretty good sense of Onefinity and how we like to work with the community. And this podcast is the exact same thing. There's no exception there. That's what makes Onefinity so special. I think if you ask me and Morgan, that's what we'd tell you. I think he feels the same way. But when we go to shows and we get to meet people and see people, as valuable as going and showing a machine off is, being able to interact and be a part of the community is way, way more valuable, just because we build relationships with people. We build relationships with a lot of you guys. And that translates into not only business, but friendships and partnerships. ways to work together even more. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I I've known a lot of the people in this community since before I was working for Onefinity, and I've been going to these shows and have known these people for a long time. And I think that's what's really special about uh, this maker community is that yes, I the job that I was at, I had a period there whereas I was no longer there, but I wasn't really officially with Onefinity yet, and
Sounds like a
they
breakup
really
story.
what's that?
So it sounds like a breakup story.
Yeah, but I was in between relationships. I was in between employment relationships. Um, but I think that's something about the maker community that's so remarkable is that these are genuine relationships. A lot of people that work for brands will come to shows and come to events, and they're just trying. It's all business. And if they no longer have something to offer you, if they can't do anything for you, that the relationship just kind of like fizzles. It's not really a relationship anymore. But in that time between my last gig and working for Onefinity, the people that I've known and met in this community, those relationships drew closer and stronger. And and then once I started working for Onefinity, a lot of those same people kind of got on that boat, and now it's a party cruise. It's
I like
it's
that.
just one big party that we got going on. Um, so yeah, the community is amazing, and uh, I love that Onefinity is at the forefront of serving this community in a new way.
Mhm. Absolutely. So kind of changing gears. Um, Obviously, we've talked a lot about our involvement in the community now. Um, but along with, well, I guess it's sort of changing gears. Along with the interaction in the chat, questions, either live questions or questions that we have solicited, like Morgan said, another part of this podcast is going to be having other makers on here. So not just people who are using the machines, in their workshops, but other makers who are making other projects for CNCs. I'm sure we'll have some of our partners on here. Plan on having Jay from JTech at some point on here. And then there's several other people in this community that we will definitely have on at some point. But we also want to be able to have them on and not just ask them your questions, but be able to ask them questions from a manufacturing standpoint, from the standpoint of a business, and then also just learning about their products and how they integrate with Onefinity. So there will be a lot of that stuff. Hopefully, we will have some of you guys on here as well, um, where we'll have some kind of episodes where we can just have people in and kind of hang out and ask you questions, things like that. So we'll have a lot of different things in store. But we also want to know what you guys want to see. So please let us know that kind of stuff. If you have a certain topic you want us to cover, if there's someone that you'd like us to have on, you can always submit those things, and we'll have stuff set up for questions and things like that in the near future. So obviously, this being our first episode, we're just getting started. But these are all things that we want to kind of focus on, bring our attention to, bring your attention to, and hopefully in the end, everybody wins because of that. So
Perfect. Well, I think we pretty well covered. We might have even covered a little bit of what we're planning to get to in the next episode, the next several episodes. But what we were really shooting for today was to just establish, who me and Stone are, and what the show is going to be about, and what a CNC is. So, in the next episode, we're going to get a little bit more into. Well, that's probably quite enough about us, but we're going to get a little bit more into, um, you know, what a CNC is, what a CNC does, uh, and who is Onefinity. Why does Onefinity exist? What do we do that's different from anybody else? Because it's there's other brands that have been around in this space for a lot longer, and we're fairly new. So why are we here? And what makes us awesome? And you know, we'll just kinda keep digging in from there. Good? All right.
Very good.
All right. So this being the first episode, we did want to cover just a few, kind of housekeeping things. Who me and Stone are, why you should care, and what a CNC is. And so we're going to get more into detail in the next couple episodes. I think we probably covered a little bit of what we were planning on doing the next one and the next couple ones, but we're going to get into more detail on the next one and the ones following on. Yeah, we know what a CNC is. Who's Onefinity? Why does Onefinity exist? Because there's Hobby CNC has been around for a while, and we're a fairly new brand of Hobby CNC. So what makes us different? Why are we here? And why are we so cool? So that's what we're going to be getting into the next one, and then from there, just go a little bit deeper. What does Onefinity offer? What makes our machines, kind of getting into the nuts and bolts of things, what makes our machines so great. And then we'll just, the world's our oyster. We'll broaden our horizons and just get in all kinds of wacky stuff. And we want to hear what you want to hear. That's pretty much, we pretty much covered what we need to on this one. And we hope that you join us on the next one.
Yeah. So, I guess that's a wrap for episode 1, and we will catch you guys next time.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
Y'all be good.
Gather around, it's time to play. We've got stories for your day. From Onefinity, it's clear to see the finest CNC. It's the Cutting Edge Podcast. Let's take a flight with designs and tools that ignite. From wood to steel, we peel and reveal the art of making done just right. Tips and tricks that elevate, craftsmanship that's first rate. Join the fun, we've just begun, the cutting edge awaits. On this journey side by side, hear the stories far and wide. From dream to deed, with utmost speed, where passion takes its stride. It's the Cutting Edge Podcast. Let's take a flight with designs and tools that ignite. From wood to steel, we peel and reveal the art of making done just right. Cutting Edge Podcast. Let's take a flight with designs and tools that ignite. From wood to steel, we peel and reveal the art of making done just right.